When did you realize that, hey, maybe my self-confidence is the issue here. Maybe my self-assuredness is the issue here. Like, what was that process like of sort of just starting to come to terms with it before you started to work on it?
Good question. I'm in a sales business, and I am I am introverted. I've certainly grown to be more extroverted than I was, but in terms of my personality traits and who I am and what I would see, or what even society or most of us would see as like a great salesman, I'm not. I'm not. Um, and uh, and so when I started real estate, I actually did. I mean, I struggled for the first 6 months. It was very scary, but all of a sudden after that 6 month mark, like something really happened, and I think in a weaker office, I was number two out of 100 agents in my first year, and I don't really know how I did it, and I realized that I there was a different way to do sales, and it was more relational and more from a consulting standpoint than from a sales standpoint. But I also realized that you still have to have the ability to influence, and um, people are much better influenced by somebody who is confident, because that's actually kind of what you're doing. Like, influence is it's an energy that you're drawing from, right? And if you're in a position where you need consulting help, for example, and I would say that from a real estate perspective more than a sales perspective, because we're not like house salesmen, right? Like, we help facilitate um, your goals, and we help you find a place. It doesn't matter. It's not like selling cars where if you work at a Chevy dealership, you got to sell the Chevy, and if they want to look at the Toyota, sorry, right? With real estate, that's what I loved about it. It was that it was like, well, you don't like this house, it doesn't have to be my listing. Cool, let's go look at the other one, right? So then you could come from that more consulting standpoint. Like, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? Um, and so anyway, so I went off on a tangent there, but in terms of influence, I realized that there's moments when I self-reflect, and the moments where I have more influence on my client and on the conversation. I felt more confidence, and so I was drawing that out. And the moments where I didn't, I wasn't feeling confident. And there were certain people that I started to realize, I'm like, the certain archetype of a male, for example, a strong man who maybe has maybe it's even in size and stature, but it's just even in their energy, or in their presence, right? They would intimidate me, and I'm like, I don't speak to them the same way that I speak to somebody who I feel is maybe this isn't necessarily the right wording, but puts me on a pedestal. And I realize what I'm doing is I'm putting them on a pedestal. And so it was the thing about human hierarchies, and we have these hierarchies, right? Even within friend groups, we might not be conscious of it, and some of them might not be quite as broad of a spectrum, but we have hierarchies. And when you put somebody above you, you actually tend to speak to them a little bit different. And I realized how important it was to not do that, from both perspectives. Like, don't put somebody else on a pedestal, and don't put um, others below you. And when it's an equal playing field, now all of a sudden, like, people feel significantly safer with you, and you feel safer with yourself. And I actually think that is a good definition of confidence, because confidence is essentially it's trust, right? So the Latin word of confidence, the root word is fid, which is Latin for trust. And I thought, so um, if confidence is trust, it's trust in what? And if it's self-confidence, so it means trust in yourself. It's trust um, in life, and trust in outcomes. It's not having the worries and the anxieties and the stresses and the what ifs.